Hi guys. So in today's video I wanted to talk about death, not the morbid kind, but more so talking about death as on the spiritual side of things. Personally, I don't think death is talked about more in society. I don't know, it almost feels like sacred tapu type, and it is, but we just don't talk about things like that. And in my culture, Māori culture, death is part of the life cycle, obviously. And we as Māori, when we die, we believe that our spirits travel to a place in the far north called Spirits Bay, and where our spirits will eventually return to our ancestral land of Hawaiiki-Nui. And so that's what we as Māori believe when we die. Growing up, I always believed that death was something to be feared, something to be afraid of. I remember as a young child, the marae we used to go to when we had tangis, there was a place kind of underneath the marae. It was like a wharekai, was where we prepared all our meals for the tangi. And I remember as a kid seeing like a dead pig hanging from the rafters, and it was it was the pig itself just hanging there, but it was also the smell. It wasn't a rotten smell, it was just like a dead meat smell, and that image and the smell just stuck in my head. And I remember that I used to associate death with that image, of the pig and on the rafters and the smell of dead meat. And that's what stuck in my head growing up. Yeah, so, that wasn't a very good image, as a child growing up to associate death with. But that was, what I associated death with when I was growing up. But when I think about it, there's another way you can think, another way you can look at it, a more spiritual way. And this is something that I've learned going through my spiritual journey. In our core, we are souls before we are we are souls before we are our physical bodies. We're light beings, right? We at our very core, that our soul is light, because we're all God's children, right? And once our body dies, once the body dies, our soul still lives on, and we go back to source. So even though our body dies, our soul still lives on, and that's how we can reincarnate and have many lives on Earth, or or other places within the universe, if we choose. So looking at death from that point of view, that changes everything for me, because now I don't fear death anymore, because I know that it's not the end, it's just a cycle. And when our body dies, our soul goes back to source, back to God. So that's just another way to look at it. That's to me. That's I think that's I don't know. I just see death differently now. If I think about it in that concept, as opposed to how I used to think about it, like how it was morbid, how I feared it. Now I don't fear death. Now it's not that I want it, but now I just think that it's just a part of life. It's a part of nature, because we are nature, aren't we? So so that's just another way to look at it. When your loved one dies, when if someone that I love dies now, that's how I think about it now. Yes, it's sad, but it's beautiful at the same time because they're returning back to source, back to God. So yeah, so that's my take on death anyway.